Chosen ones, God needs to speak to you right now, and his voice is calling through the chaos of this world. This isn't a gentle whisper, it's a divine command, a message so urgent that ignoring it risks turning away from the very destiny he has carved for you. For the next 15 minutes, you must listen, not because of fear, but because his words are the key to unlocking the life you were always meant to live. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear will shift everything you thought you knew about your purpose. God's voice isn't like the noise of the world. It's not a fleeting thought or a passing feeling. It's a fire that burns through doubt, a clarity that cuts through confusion. Right now, he's speaking to you, not someone else, not a crowd, but you. The creator of the universe has set his eyes on you, chosen one, because you carry a spark that no one else does. That spark is your calling, and it's why you're here, in this moment, hearing these words. You've felt it before, haven't you? That pull in your soul, that sense that something bigger is waiting. That's God, and he's saying it's time to step into what he's prepared. You might wonder, why now? Why is this moment so critical? Because the world is shifting, and so is your place in it. God sees the battles you've faced, the sleepless nights, the betrayals, the moments you questioned if you'd ever rise again. He knows every tear, every scar, every time you stood when others would have fallen. And he's saying, enough. Your season of struggle is ending, and a new chapter is beginning. But to step into it, you must listen. His voice is the map, and these 15 minutes are your guide to the path he's laid out. Pause for a moment. Feel the weight of this truth. You're not here by chance. God's timing is perfect, and he's chosen this moment to speak because you're ready to hear. Your heart is open, even if you don't fully realize it yet. So, I'm asking you to do something simple. Hit that like button. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking this path. And leave a comment with the number 777. That number carries divine energy, a signal to the heavens that you're ready to receive what God has for you. Do it now, and let's keep moving forward together. God's message isn't just words, it's power. It's the same power that parted the Red Sea, that raised Lazarus from the dead, that turned fishermen into apostles. When he speaks, mountains move, and right now, he's speaking to the mountains in your life. Those obstacles, debt, heartbreak, fear, they're not as solid as they seem. They're shadows, and God's voice is the light that will scatter them. But you have to choose to listen. Ignoring him isn't just missing a message. It's delaying the breakthrough he's already set in motion. Think about Moses. He stood before a burning bush, a man who doubted his own voice, his own worth. Yet God spoke, and in that moment, Moses became more than a shepherd. He became a deliverer. You're standing before your own burning bush right now. God's voice is the flame, and it's calling you to step out of the ordinary and into the extraordinary. You're not just another soul in the crowd. You're chosen, marked by God, for a purpose that shakes the foundations of this world. What does it mean to be chosen? It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's about carrying a light that others can't ignore, even when you feel small. Look at David, a shepherd boy facing a giant. The world saw weakness, but God saw a king. When David heard God's call, he didn't hesitate. He picked up his sling, trusted the voice that guided him, and brought Goliath to his knees. You have your own giant's doubt, rejection, failure. God's voice is your sling, and he's telling you to take aim. Listening to God doesn't mean sitting in silence, waiting for thunder from the sky. Sometimes his voice comes through a feeling, a moment of clarity, a stranger's words that hit too close to home. It's the sudden strength you find when you should have given up. It's the idea that won't leave your mind, the dream that keeps you awake at night. That's God, speaking through the fabric of your life, weaving his message into every moment. Right now, he's asking you to pay attention, to see the signs he's placed all around you. You've seen those signs, haven't you? The way things align just when you need them to. The job that came through at the last second, the friend who called when you felt alone, the verse that appeared exactly when you needed hope. Those aren't coincidences, they're God's handwriting, proof that he's been speaking all along. But now, he's turning up the volume. He's not whispering anymore. He's shouting, because the time for waiting is over. Your destiny is calling, and you can't afford to turn away. Let's talk about what happens when you listen. When you open your heart to God's voice, doors you didn't even know existed start to swing wide. Opportunities find you, jobs, relationships, ideas that change everything. Your health begins to shift, not just in your body, but in your mind and spirit. You start to see yourself the way God sees you, not as broken, not as small, but as a force, a light, a chosen one destined to leave a mark. This isn't about chasing wealth or fame. It's about stepping into the abundance God has already promised. Abundance isn't just money in the bank. It's peace in your heart, clarity in your decisions, strength in your steps. When God speaks, he pours out all of it. Look at Joseph, sold into slavery, thrown into prison, forgotten by those he helped. Yet he listened to God's voice, even in the pit. And when the time came, God lifted him to a place of power, not for his own glory, but to save a nation. Your pit, your struggles, your pain isn't the end. It's the place where God's voice becomes clearest, preparing you for what's next. But here's the warning. Ignoring God's voice has consequences, not because he's angry in the way humans get angry, but because turning away from his call means turning away from your own purpose. Jonah tried to run from God's voice, and he ended up in the belly of a whale. God didn't punish him to be cruel. He brought him back to the path he was meant to walk. If you feel a storm in your life right now, it might be God's way of saying, listen, I'm calling you back to me. You're not Jonah, though. You're here, right now, ready to hear. That's why I'm asking you again, hit that like button, subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones, and drop a 777 in the comments. It's not just about supporting this message. It's about declaring to the universe that you're ready to step into God's plan. Do it now, because every action you take in faith sends a ripple through the heavens, aligning you with his purpose. What is God saying to you? He's telling you that you're enough, that the dreams you've buried, the hopes you've set aside, they're not dead. They're waiting. He's saying that the pain you've carried has shaped you, not broken you. He's saying that the world needs your light, your voice, your unique spark. You're not here to blend in. You're here to stand out, to shine so brightly that even the darkest corners can't ignore you. Think about Esther, a young woman, an orphan, chosen to be queen in a land that wasn't her own. When the moment came to risk everything, she didn't shrink back. She listened to God's call, stepped into her purpose, and saved her people. You're an Esther in your own story. The world might not see your crown yet, but God does. He's calling you to rise, to speak, to act. Your 15 minutes of listening today could be the moment that changes everything. God's voice isn't just about big moments. It's in the small ones too. The way you forgive someone who hurt you. The way you keep going when you want to quit. The way you choose love over anger, faith over fear. Every time you make that choice, you're aligning with His voice. You're stepping closer to the life He's designed for you, a life of purpose, impact, and joy that no one can take away. You might feel like you're not ready, like you're too broken, too tired, too small. But God doesn't choose the perfect. He chooses the willing. Look at Peter, a fisherman who denied Jesus 3 times. Yet God's voice called him to lead, to build, to become the rock of a movement that changed the world. Your flaws don't disqualify you, they prepare you. God's voice is stronger than your doubts, and He's speaking right now to remind you of who you are. Listening to God means trusting Him, even when the path isn't clear. Abraham left everything he knew because God said, "Go." He didn't have a map, just a promise. And that promise led him to a legacy that still shapes the world. Your promise is waiting too. It's in the job you're afraid to pursue, the conversation you're scared to have, the dream you've been too shy to chase. God's voice is the courage you need to take that step. Right now, God is rearranging things for you. He's moving people, opening doors, clearing obstacles. You might not see it yet, but it's happening. The delays you've faced, the closed doors, the rejections, they weren't denials. They were divine redirects, guiding you to this moment. His voice is telling you to keep going, to trust that what's coming is greater than what you've left behind. You're not alone in this. Thousands of chosen ones are walking this path, hearing the same call, stepping into the same promise. That's why I'm asking you to subscribe, to join this community of souls who know they're meant for more. Leave a 777 in the comments to seal your commitment to God's voice. It's a small act, but it carries weight in the spiritual realm, a declaration that you're ready for what's next. God's voice is also a shield. The world will try to drown it out with noise, doubt, criticism, fear. But His voice is louder. When you listen, you're protected. Psalm 91 says, "He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge." That's not just poetry, it's a promise. Every time you choose to hear God over the chaos, you're stepping under that protection, safe from anything that tries to pull you back. What does God want you to do right now? He wants you to trust, to act, to believe that the impossible is possible. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for faith. Take one step today, one prayer, one choice, one moment of courage. That's how you align with His voice. That's how you unlock the floodgates of blessings He's holding for you. You've carried burdens for too long. God's voice is saying, lay them down. The weight of your past, the fear of your future, none of it belongs to you anymore. He's taking it, replacing it with peace, with purpose, with a life that overflows. You're not just surviving, you're thriving, and the world will see it. They'll see the light in your eyes, the strength in your step, the joy that no storm can steal. This isn't about chasing miracles, it's about becoming one. When you listen to God's voice, you become a living testament to His power. People will look at you and wonder, what changed? They'll see the way you move through life unshaken, unstoppable, and they'll know something divine is at work. Your life is the proof, the evidence that God still speaks, still moves, still transforms. You're at a crossroads. One path leads to the familiar doubt, hesitation, playing small. The other leads to God's promise, a life of impact, abundance, and purpose. His voice is the guide, and these 15 minutes are your invitation to choose. Don't anger Him by ignoring this call, not because He's wrathful, but because He loves you too much to let you settle for less than you were created for. Every moment you spend listening is a moment you're stepping closer to your destiny. God's voice isn't just words. It's a force, a current pulling you toward the life you were always meant to live. You're not here to struggle. You're here to soar, to rise above the noise, the pain, the fear, and to show the world what it looks like when a chosen one answers God's call. Right now, God is preparing something extraordinary for you. It's not just a blessing, it's a transformation. Your finances, your health, your relationships, they're all part of His plan. But you have to listen. You have to stay open. You have to trust that His voice is leading you to a place where every dream you thought was lost is waiting to be reclaimed. You've been through the fire, chosen one. You've faced trials that should have broken you. But here you are, still standing. That's not luck. That's God. His voice has been with you all along, guiding you, strengthening you, preparing you for this moment. Now, He's saying, it's time. Time to step out of the shadows. Time to claim what's yours. Time to let His voice drown out every doubt. Don't let these 15 minutes pass without action. Hit that like button, subscribe to join the chosen ones, and comment 777 to declare your faith. These small steps are more than they seem. They're signals to the heavens that you're ready to walk in God's purpose. Do it now, and let's keep going. God's voice is also a promise of restoration. Everything you've lost, time, opportunities, hope, He's bringing it back, multiplied. Joel 2:25 says, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. That's not just a verse, it's a guarantee. The years you spent struggling, the dreams you thought were gone, they're not. God's voice is calling them back to life. Right now, as you listen, you might feel like you're not enough, like you've messed up too many times. But God's voice says otherwise. He chose you, not because you're perfect, but because you're His. He sees the masterpiece beneath the cracks, the warrior beneath the scars. When you listen to Him, you start to see it too. You start to walk taller, speak bolder, live braver. This message is urgent because your time is now. God doesn't speak on a whim, He speaks with purpose. The world needs you, chosen one. It needs your courage, your light, your unique gift. You're not here to fit in, you're here to stand out, to lead, to heal, to build. And God's voice is the blueprint for how to do it. Listening to God means letting go of control. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to know every step. His voice is the compass, and it's pointing you toward a future that's bigger than your imagination. Trust it. Follow it. Let it guide you through the unknown, because what's waiting on the other side is worth it. You're not just hearing words right now, you're receiving a divine transmission. Every sentence is a seed, planting faith, hope, and courage in your soul. Let it take root. Let it grow. Let it transform you into the person God always knew you could be. You're not here by accident. You're here because He's ready to move in your life like never before. God's voice is also a call to action. He's not just speaking to comfort you, He's speaking to activate you. There's something you're meant to do, right now, in this season. Maybe it's starting that business, forgiving that person, chasing that dream. Whatever it is, His voice is the push you need to take the first step. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfection. Move. You've been chosen for a reason. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because God saw something in you that the world can't see. He saw a heart that's willing, a spirit that's resilient, a soul that's ready to shine. His voice is reminding you of that truth right now, calling you to step into your purpose with boldness. The world might try to drown out God's voice with distractions, bills, drama, doubt, but his voice is stronger. It's the anchor in the storm, the light in the dark, the truth that cuts through every lie. When you listen, you're not just hearing words, you're tapping into a power that changes everything. Your life, your future, your legacy, they all shift when you say yes to his call. Right now, God is aligning things you can't see. Connections are forming, resources are coming, doors are opening. His voice is the signal that it's happening, the confirmation that your breakthrough is closer than you think. Don't ignore it. Don't doubt it. Lean in, listen, and let his words guide you to the next step. You're not alone on this journey. Thousands of chosen ones are hearing this same call, feeling this same fire. That's why I'm asking you to subscribe, to join this movement of souls, stepping into their divine purpose. Drop a 777 in the comments to seal your commitment. It's a small act, but it's a declaration that you're ready to walk in God's plan. God's voice is also a promise of victory. Whatever you're facing, fear, lack, rejection, it's not the end. His voice says you're an overcomer. John 16:33 says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." That's not just a hope, it's a fact. When you listen to God, you're aligning with the one who's already won the battle. You might feel like you're in a wilderness right now, lost and unsure, but God's voice is the way out. It's the path through the desert, the water in the dry places. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" That new thing is happening now. Chosen one, his voice is the sign that your breakthrough is here. Don't let fear stop you from listening. Fear will tell you you're not ready, that you're not worthy, that it's too late. But God's voice says otherwise. He says you're chosen, you're capable, you're his. Every time you choose to listen, you're silencing fear and stepping into faith. That's where the miracles happen. That's where your life changes. You're not here to live small. God's voice is calling you to something bigger, a life of impact, purpose, and abundance. He's not speaking to fill the silence. He's speaking to fill your life with meaning. Every word he says is a step toward the destiny he's written for you. Listen, and you'll see it unfold. Right now, God is stirring something in you. A fire, a vision, a courage you didn't know you had. His voice is the spark, and these 15 minutes are the moment it ignites. Don't let it pass. Hit that like button, subscribe to stand with thousands of chosen ones, and comment 777 to declare your faith. These actions aren't just for the algorithm, they're for your soul. A way to say, "I'm ready, God." God's voice is also a call to rest. Not the rest of laziness, but the rest of trust. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." When you listen to him, you don't have to carry the weight alone. He's taking it, lifting it, turning your burdens into blessings. Let go, and let his voice lead you to peace. You've been fighting battles no one sees, struggles in your mind, your heart, your spirit. But God's voice says, the war is already won. You're not fighting for victory, you're fighting from victory. His words are your armor, your strength, your assurance that nothing can stand against you when he's on your side. This moment is sacred. These 15 minutes are a divine appointment, a chance to align with God's plan. Don't rush through it. Don't ignore it. His voice is speaking, and it's speaking to you, chosen one, warrior, light bearer. You're not here by mistake. You're here because God has something to say, and it's time to listen. God's voice is also a promise of renewal. Whatever you've lost confidence, time, dreams, He's restoring it. Psalm 51:12 says, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation." That joy is coming back. That strength is returning. His voice is the catalyst, the power that brings dead things to life. Listen and watch what He does next. You might feel like you're at the end of your rope, but God's voice says the rope doesn't matter. He's your anchor. He's not asking you to climb. He's asking you to trust, to listen, to let His words pull you out of the pit and into the promise. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning, and His voice is the pen writing the next chapter. Right now, God is moving mountains you can't see. He's shifting circumstances, aligning opportunities, preparing a way. His voice is the confirmation that it's happening, the assurance that what's coming is greater than what's been. Don't turn away. Don't doubt. Listen, and let His words guide you to the life you were born for. You're not just a listener, you're a doer. James 1:22 says, "Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." God's voice isn't just for hearing, it's for acting. It's for stepping out, taking risks, trusting that He's got you. Your faith is the key that unlocks the door He's already opened. This is your moment, chosen one. God's voice is calling you to rise, to shine, to step into the fullness of who you are. Don't anger Him by ignoring this call, not because He's harsh, but because He loves you too much to let you stay small. These 15 minutes are your chance to say yes, to align with His plan, to become the person He created you to be. God's voice is also a promise of protection. No weapon formed against you will prosper. Isaiah 54:17. When you listen, you're stepping under His shield, safe from the attacks of doubt, fear, and failure. His voice is your fortress, your refuge, your assurance that nothing can stop what He's started in you. You've been chosen for a reason, not because you're perfect, but because you're His. His voice is speaking to remind you of that truth, to call you out of the shadows and into the light. Listen, and you'll see who you really are, a force, a light, a chosen one destined to change the world. Right now, God is planting seeds in your heart, seeds of hope, courage, purpose. His voice is the water that makes them grow. Don't let them wither. Don't let doubt choke them out. Listen and let His words bring those seeds to life, turning your dreams into reality. You're not here to struggle. You're here to thrive. God's voice is the assurance that abundance is yours. Peace, joy, provision. He's not speaking to tease you. He's speaking to prepare you, to equip you, to remind you that the life you've dreamed of is closer than you think. This is your call to action. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones stepping into their purpose. Drop a 777 in the comments to seal your faith. Hit that like button to send a signal to the heavens that you're ready. These aren't just clicks, they're declarations, steps of faith that align you with God's plan. God's voice is also a promise of transformation. He's not just speaking to comfort you. He's speaking to change you, to take you from where you are to where you're meant to be. Romans 12:2 says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That renewal starts now with His voice, reshaping your thoughts, your heart, your life. You faced trials that should have broken you, but here you are. That's not chance. That's God. His voice has been with you, guiding you, strengthening you, even when you didn't realize it. Now, He's speaking louder, clearer, because your time is now. Listen and step into the destiny He's calling you to. This isn't just a message, it's a movement, a shift. a divine awakening. God's voice is calling you to rise above, to break free, to become the chosen one you were always meant to be. Don't ignore it. Don't delay. Listen, and let His words lead you to a life that shines with His glory. Right now, God is rewriting your story. The pain, the setbacks, the struggles, they're not the end. His voice is the pen, turning your trials into triumphs, your losses into victories. Listen and watch Him make all things new. Your breakthrough is here, chosen one. Don't turn away. God's voice is a beacon cutting through the fog of your doubts and fears. It's not just a sound, it's a force pulling you toward a future where your purpose shines brighter than any shadow. Right now, He's speaking to align your steps with His plan, to guide you through the noise of the world into a truth that sets you free. You've felt lost before, haven't you? Wandering, unsure if you're on the right path. His voice is the compass, pointing you to a destiny that's been yours since the beginning. You're not ordinary, chosen one. God's voice doesn't call the ordinary, it calls the extraordinary. He's speaking to you because you carry something the world needs, something only you can bring. Think of Noah, building an ark while the world laughed. His faith wasn't loud or boastful. It was steady, rooted in God's voice. That same steadiness is in you, waiting to be activated. When you listen, you're not just hearing words, you're stepping into a legacy that will outlast you. What happens when you truly hear God? Your perspective shifts. The things that once overwhelmed you, bills, heartbreak, uncertainty, start to look smaller. Not because they vanish, but because God's voice reveals their true size in the shadow of His power. Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. His voice is that help, right now, showing you that no problem is too big when He's by your side. You've been carrying questions about your purpose, your worth, your future. God's voice holds the answers. He's not speaking in riddles or hiding the truth. His words are clear, direct, meant to guide you to a life of clarity and strength. When you listen, you're not just receiving advice. You're receiving a divine blueprint, a map for a life that overflows with meaning and impact. Right now, God is stirring your spirit. You feel it, that restlessness, that hunger for something more. It's not random, it's His voice, calling you to step out of the small spaces you've been living in. You're not meant for corners or shadows. You're meant for open places, for stages, for moments where your light changes everything. His voice is the invitation to step into those places, to claim the space He's prepared for you. You might think you're too tired, too broken to answer this call. But God's voice says otherwise. He's not looking for perfection, He's looking for faith. Look at Rahab, a woman with a past, shunned by her city. Yet when God's voice called, she acted, hiding the spies and securing her place in His story. Your past doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you. His voice is turning your scars into stars, your mistakes into stepping stones. Listening to God means seeing yourself through His eyes. The world might call you ordinary, but He calls you chosen. The world might see your flaws, but He sees your potential. When you hear His voice, you start to see it too, the strength you didn't know you had, the courage waiting to be unleashed. You're not just surviving life, you're building a legacy, one step of faith at a time. God's voice is also a promise of provision. He's not calling you to a purpose without equipping you for it. Philippians 4:19 says, My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus. That's not a maybe, it's a certainty. When you listen, you're tapping into a supply that never runs dry. a resource that meets every need, from the smallest to the greatest. You faced moments where you felt alone, like no one saw your struggle. But God's voice says you were never alone. He's been there, guiding, protecting, preparing. Every closed door was His hand redirecting you. Every delay was His timing perfecting you. Now, His voice is saying the wait is over. The doors are opening. The resources are coming. All you need to do is listen and step forward. This is bigger than you. God's voice isn't just calling you to personal victory. It's calling you to change the world around you. Think of Deborah, a prophetess who led a nation to victory. She didn't just hear God for herself. She heard Him for her people, guiding them through battle with wisdom and courage. You're a Deborah, chosen one, called to lead, to inspire, to bring hope where it's been lost. Right now, God is activating something in you, a vision, a strength, a purpose you didn't know you carried. His voice is the key that unlocks it. You're not here to drift through life. You're here to shape it, to build, to heal, to leave a mark that echoes through generations. When you listen, you're not just changing your life, you're changing the lives of those around you. You might feel like the world is against you, like every step is a fight. But God's voice says the battle isn't yours, it's His. 2 Chronicles 20:15 says, "The battle is not yours, but God's." When you listen, you're handing the fight to Him, letting His strength carry you through. Your job isn't to win, it's to trust. His voice is the assurance that victory is already yours. This moment is a turning point. God's voice is calling you to let go of the old fears, old doubts, old limits. He's saying, step into the new, a new mindset, a new confidence, a new life. Isaiah 43:18 says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past." His voice is pulling you forward, out of what was and into what will be. Listen and take the step. You're not here to fit in. God's voice is reminding you that you were made to stand out, to shine, to be a light in a world that's often dark. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." When you listen, you're not just hearing words, you're becoming that light, a beacon for others to follow. Right now, God is speaking to your potential. He sees the dreams you've buried, the talents you've hidden, the strength you've doubted. His voice is saying, bring them out. You're not too old, too young, too broken. You're His, and His voice is calling you to rise, to create, to become the person you were always meant to be. You've been through storms, chosen one, moments that tested your faith, your strength, your heart. But God's voice says those storms were preparation. They weren't meant to destroy you, they were meant to refine you. Like gold in a furnace, you've come out stronger, purer, ready for what's next. His voice is the confirmation that your time is now. Listening to God means trusting His timing. You might want answers now, results now, breakthroughs now, but His voice says, wait, not because He's holding back, but because He's preparing something better than you can imagine. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. His voice is the promise that your beauty, your breakthrough, is coming. You're not alone in this. Thousands of chosen ones are hearing this call, stepping into their purpose, shining their light. Join them as I call. Subscribe to stand with this community of souls who know they're meant for more. Drop a 777 in the comments to declare your faith. Hit that like button to send a signal to the heavens that you're ready. These actions are small but powerful, steps that align you with God's plan. God's voice is also a call to courage. The world will try to pull you back, doubt, fear, criticism, but His voice says, keep going. Joshua 1:9 says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. When you listen, you're not just hearing words, you're receiving strength to face anything. You've felt the weight of expectations, your own, others, the world's. But God's voice says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. When you listen, you're trading the world's demands for His peace, the world's pressure for His purpose. Let go of what others think. Let His voice guide you to freedom. Right now, God is speaking to your future. He's painting a picture of a life where you're not just surviving, you're thriving. A life where your gifts are used, your dreams are real, your impact is undeniable. His voice is the brush, and these 15 minutes are the canvas. Listen and watch Him create something beautiful. You might feel like you've been overlooked, like your moment has passed. But God's voice says, I see you. He's never forgotten you. Every prayer, every hope, every tear, He's kept them all. Psalm 56:8 says, you have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. His voice is the assurance that nothing you've been through is wasted. God's voice is also a call to action. He's not just speaking to comfort you, He's speaking to move you. There's something you're meant to do today, this week, this moment. A step, a choice, a leap of faith. His voice is the nudge, the push, the fire that says, now. Don't wait for tomorrow. His voice is calling you to act today. You're not here to live a small life. God's voice is reminding you that you were created for greatness, not the world's greatness, but His. A greatness that changes lives, heals hearts, builds legacies. When you listen, you're stepping into that greatness. One word, one choice, one moment at a time. This is your divine moment, chosen one. God's voice is speaking, and it's speaking to you, not the person next to you, not the world at large you. His words are personal, powerful, meant to transform your life from the inside out. Listen, and let His voice lead you to a future that shines with His glory. God's voice is a river, flowing through the dry places of your soul, bringing life where there was barrenness. It's not just a sound, it's a current, carrying you toward a destiny that's been written in the stars since before you were born. Right now, He's speaking to wash away the dust of doubt, to nourish the dreams you thought had withered. You're not stuck, chosen one. His voice is the water that sets you free, moving you toward a future that blooms with purpose. You've walked through deserts, times when hope felt distant, when answers seemed out of reach. But God's voice says those deserts were not your destination, they were your training ground. Like the Israelites wandering for 40 years, you were being shaped, strengthened, prepared for a promised land. His voice is the guide leading you out, the assurance that the wilderness is behind you and abundance lies ahead. Listening to God means seeing the invisible. The world shows you limits, closed doors, empty pockets, broken dreams. But His voice reveals what's beyond the surface. 2 Corinthians 4:18 says, we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. When you hear Him, you start to see the eternal, the opportunities, the strength, the victories, waiting just beyond the horizon. You're not defined by what the world sees. God's voice calls you by your true name, chosen, beloved, destined. Think of Gideon, hiding in a winepress, called a coward by his people. Yet God's voice named him a mighty warrior. When you listen, you're stepping into your true identity, shedding the labels the world has placed on you. You're not weak, you're not a failure, you're his, and his voice is rewriting your story. Right now, God is planting a vision in your heart. It's not a vague dream, it's a clear picture of what's possible when you align with his voice. Maybe it's a business you've been afraid to start, a relationship you need to heal, a purpose you've been too scared to chase. His voice is the clarity you need, the spark that turns vision into reality. Listen and watch that vision take root. You've felt the weight of comparison, haven't you? Looking at others, wondering why their path seems easier, their blessings more visible. But God's voice says, your journey is yours alone. Galatians 6:4 says, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves without comparing themselves to someone else. His voice frees you from comparison, calling you to run your race, to shine your light, to live your purpose. God's voice is also a shield against chaos. The world throws storms at you, stress, conflict, uncertainty. But his voice is the calm in the center, the peace that holds you steady. Like Jesus sleeping through the storm while his disciples panicked, his voice says, be still. When you listen, you find that peace. Not because the storm stops, but because his voice is louder than the wind. You're not here to chase the world's approval. God's voice is calling you to a higher standard, his standard. The world might offer fleeting praise, but his voice offers eternal purpose. When you listen, you're trading temporary validation for a life that matters, a legacy that endures. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to please him. Right now, God is breaking chains you didn't even know were holding you. Chains of fear, of shame, of regret. His voice is the key, unlocking the freedom you were created for. Isaiah 61:1 says, he has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives. When you hear him, those chains fall. You're not bound anymore. You're free to rise, to soar, to become. You might feel like your time has passed, like opportunities have slipped away. But God's voice says time is his, not the world's. Look at Sarah, who laughed when God promised her a child in her old age. Yet his voice turned her laughter into a legacy. Isaac, a nation, a promise fulfilled. Your time isn't over. His voice is saying, it's now. Listen and step into what's waiting. God's voice is also a call to create. You're not just here to exist. You're here to build, to shape, to bring something new into the world. Genesis 1:27 says, God created mankind in his own image. You carry his creative power. His voice is stirring that power in you, urging you to write, to dream, to innovate. Whatever you create in faith becomes a reflection of his glory. You've faced rejection, moments when the world said you weren't enough. But God's voice says, you're more than enough. He chose you, not because of your resume, but because of your heart. Like Samuel anointing David, overlooked by his own family, God's voice says, I see you. When you listen, you start to see yourself the way he does a masterpiece, ready to shine. This is your moment to act. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones stepping into their purpose. Drop a 777 in the comments to declare your faith. Hit that like button to send a signal to the heavens that you're ready. These aren't just actions, they're steps of obedience, aligning you with God's voice and his plan for your life. God's voice is a promise of alignment. Right now, he's aligning people, places, and opportunities to fit his purpose for you. You've seen it before, moments when things fell into place, when the right person showed up at the right time. That's not luck. That's God. His voice is the thread weaving those moments together, creating a tapestry of purpose that's unfolding now. You're not here to follow the crowd. God's voice is calling you to lead, to carve a path where others will follow. Think of Nehemiah, rebuilding Jerusalem's walls despite opposition. His strength came from hearing God's voice, trusting it above the noise of doubt. You're a Nehemiah, chosen one, called to rebuild, to restore, to lead with courage. Listening to God means letting go of control. You can't plan every step, but you don't have to. His voice is the guide, clearer than any map, stronger than any strategy. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." When you listen, you're handing the reins to Him, trusting He'll lead you where you need to go. You've carried burdens too long, guilt, fear, the weight of others' expectations. God's voice says, "Give them to me." 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you." When you hear Him, you're not just relieved, you're transformed. Those burdens become stepping stones, leading you to a life of freedom and purpose. Right now, God is speaking to your resilience. You've fallen, but you've always gotten up. That's not just strength, that's His voice, calling you to rise again and again. Like Job, who lost everything yet held fast to God, your faith is your power. His voice is reminding you that nothing can break what He's building in you. You're not here to live in the shadows. God's voice is calling you into the light, to a place where your gifts, your story, your heart shine for all to see. John 8:12 says, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness." His voice is that light, guiding you out of hiding and into a life that radiates His glory. You might feel like you're not ready, like the task is too big. But God's voice says, readiness isn't about perfection, it's about willingness. Moses stuttered, yet led a nation. His voice gave Moses the words, the courage, the path. That same voice is speaking to you, giving you what you need to step into your calling. God's voice is also a promise of community. You're not alone. He's surrounding you with people who see your light, who support your purpose. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." His voice is weaving you into a network of chosen ones, a family of faith. Subscribe now to join them, and drop a 777 in the comments to stand with those who hear His call. Right now, God is speaking to your legacy. The life you live today isn't just for you, it's for those who come after. Your choices, your faith, your courage, they ripple through time. Like Abraham, whose obedience birthed nations, your yes to God's voice will birth blessings for generations. Listen and build something eternal. You felt the pull of distraction, the world's noise, pulling you away from His voice. But God's voice is stronger, clearer, more persistent. Hebrews 12:2 says, "Fix your eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith." When you listen, you're fixing your eyes on Him, tuning out the chaos, and tuning into the truth that sets you free. God's voice is also a call to heal, not just yourself, but others. Your story, your strength, your faith, they're medicine for a hurting world. Like the Samaritan woman at the well, who heard Jesus and brought her village to Him, your life can draw others to His voice. Listen, and let your healing become theirs. You're not here to settle. God's voice is calling you to more joy, more impact, more life. He's not speaking to keep you where you are. He's speaking to take you higher. Ephesians 3:20 says, He is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. His voice is the promise that your dreams are just the beginning. Right now, God is speaking to your heart. He sees the places where it's been broken, the dreams you've tucked away. His voice is saying, I'm not done with you. Like Lazarus, called from the tomb, you're being called to live again. Listen, and let his voice breathe life into what you thought was dead. You've faced moments of doubt, wondering if God's really there. But his voice is the proof, speaking through your resilience, your hope, your unexplainable strength. Psalm 23:4 says, Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. His voice is your companion, guiding you through every valley to the mountaintop. God's voice is also a call to boldness. You're not here to shrink back. You're here to stand tall, to speak truth, to live fearlessly. Like Daniel in the lion's den, your faith in his voice will shut the mouths of fear and doubt. Listen and step into the courage he's placed within you. You're not defined by your past. God's voice is rewriting your story, turning your pain into purpose, your trials into triumphs. Isaiah 61:3 says, To bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes. His voice is that crown, placing beauty where there was brokenness. Listen and wear it proudly. Right now, God is speaking to your future. He's not just promising a better tomorrow. He's promising a life that overflows with purpose, peace, and power. His voice is the bridge between where you are and where you're meant to be. Listen and take the first step across. God's voice is a flame, igniting the hidden potential within you, burning away the lies that have kept you small. It's not just a sound, it's a spark, setting your soul ablaze with purpose and power. Right now, he's speaking to awaken the dreams you've buried, to light the path you've been afraid to walk. You're not here to stay dormant, chosen one. His voice is the fire that calls you to rise, to shine, to become a force that changes everything. You've known moments of darkness, times when the world felt heavy, when hope seemed like a distant star. But God's voice pierces that darkness, bringing light where there was none, like the dawn breaking after a long night. His words are the promise of a new day. Psalm 35 says, Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. His voice is your morning, calling you out of sorrow and into joy. Listening to God means trusting his vision for you. The world might show you a mirror of flaws and failures, but his voice shows you a future of strength and victory. He's not speaking to remind you of what you've done wrong. He's speaking to show you what you'll do right. When you hear him, you're not just receiving words, you're receiving a destiny, crafted by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. You're not here to blend into the noise. God's voice is calling you to stand out, to be a signal in the static, a light in the chaos. Think of Elijah, standing alone against the prophets of Baal. His strength wasn't in numbers, it was in hearing God's voice, trusting it above the clamor of the crowd. You carry that same strength, chosen one. His voice is your anchor, keeping you steady when the world tries to pull you under. Right now, God is speaking to your courage. You've faced battles that no one else sees, fears that wake you at night, doubts that whisper you're not enough. His voice says, you are more than enough. Joshua 1:7 says, be strong and very courageous. When you listen, you're not just hearing encouragement, you're receiving the power to face any giant, to walk through any fire, to overcome any obstacle. You've carried the weight of others' expectations, trying to fit into their plans for you. But God's voice says his plan is better. He's not calling you to live someone else's story, he's calling you to live yours. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." His voice is the reminder that you were created with purpose, designed for a path that's yours alone. God's voice is also a promise of clarity. The world bombards you with confusion, too many choices, too many voices, too many paths. But his voice cuts through the clutter, showing you the way. Like the pillar of fire guiding the Israelites through the wilderness, his words light your path, step by step. When you listen, you're not guessing. You're following a divine guide who never leads you astray. You're not here to live in fear. God's voice is calling you to freedom, to a life where anxiety and doubt no longer hold you captive. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." When you hear him, you're trading fear for faith, worry for wisdom, chaos for calm. His voice is your liberation, setting you free to live boldly. Right now, God is speaking to your resilience. You've been knocked down, but you've always gotten up. That's not just grit, that's his voice, whispering strength when you felt weak, courage when you felt afraid. Like Paul, who faced shipwrecks, prisons, and betrayal, yet kept going, your strength comes from hearing God's call. His voice is the fuel that keeps you moving, no matter the storm. You might feel like your dreams are too big, too far out of reach. But God's voice says no dream is too big when he's the one behind it. He's not speaking to limit you, he's speaking to expand you, to stretch your faith, to show you a future that's bigger than your imagination. Ephesians 3:20 says, "He is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine." His voice is the invitation to dream bigger, to believe bolder. This is your moment to stand with others who hear his call. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones walking this path. Drop a 777 in the comments to declare your faith. Hit that like button to send a signal to the heavens that you're ready. These actions aren't just clicks, they're steps of faith, aligning you with the power of God's voice. God's voice is also a promise of restoration. The things you've lost, time, relationships, opportunities, aren't gone forever. His voice is calling them back, not as they were, but better. Joel 2:25 says, "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." When you listen, you're not just hearing. Hope you're stepping into a reality where God makes all things new, turning your losses into gains. You're not defined by your mistakes. God's voice speaks to your redemption, to the truth that your past doesn't dictate your future. Like Peter, who denied Jesus yet became the rock of the church, your failures are not the end. His voice is calling you to rise above, to step into a story of grace and purpose. Listen, and let him rewrite what you thought was finished. Right now, God is speaking to your influence. You're not here to live unnoticed. You're here to make a difference. Your words, your actions, your faith, they ripple out, touching lives you may never meet. Like Esther, whose courage saved a nation, your life can shift the course of others. His voice is the guide, showing you how to use your influence for his glory. You've felt the sting of rejection, the pain of being misunderstood. But God's voice says you're accepted, chosen, loved. Romans 15:7 says, "Accept one another, then, just as Christ accepted you." When you hear him, you're not seeking approval from the world. You're resting in the truth that the Creator of the universe calls you his own. That's enough. God's voice is also a call to rest in him. Not the rest of doing nothing, but the rest of trusting everything. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. When you listen, you're laying down the weight of striving, of proving yourself. His voice is the peace that carries you through, the assurance that He's got it all under control. You're not here to fight alone. God's voice is rallying a community around you, people who see your light, who share your faith, who walk the same path. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor." His voice is connecting you to others, building a network of chosen ones who lift each other up. Subscribe now to join them, and drop a 777 in the comments to stand in faith. Right now, God is speaking to your legacy. Your life isn't just about today, it's about tomorrow, about the generations that will follow. Like Abraham, whose faith birthed a nation, your obedience to His voice will leave a mark that lasts. Listen and let His words guide you to build something eternal, something that outlives you. You've faced moments when the world tried to dim your light, to silence your voice, but God's voice says your light is unstoppable. John 1:5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." When you hear Him, you're not just surviving, you're shining, a beacon that no shadow can extinguish. God's voice is also a promise of provision. He's not calling you to a purpose without the resources to fulfill it. Philippians 4:19 says, "My God will meet all your needs according to the riches of His glory." His voice is the assurance that everything you need, strength, wisdom, finances, is already on its way. Listen and trust His supply. You're not here to live in the ordinary. God's voice is calling you to the extraordinary, a life where miracles are normal, where breakthroughs are expected, where your faith moves mountains. Mark 11:23 says, "If anyone says to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and does not doubt in their heart, but believes, it will be done." His voice is the power that moves your mountains. Right now, God is speaking to your heart's desires, the dreams you've held, the hopes you've whispered in prayer. He knows them all. Psalm 37:4 says, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." When you listen, you're aligning those desires with His will, turning your dreams into realities shaped by His hand. You've walked through seasons of waiting, wondering when your breakthrough would come. God's voice says, the wait has purpose. Like Joseph, who waited in prison before rising to power, your waiting is preparation. His voice is the promise that your season of favor is here, that the doors you've prayed for are opening now. God's voice is also a call to action. He's not speaking to keep you still, He's speaking to move you forward. James 2:17 says, "Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." When you hear Him, you're not just listening, you're stepping, acting, trusting that His voice will guide every move you make. You're not here to be ordinary. God's voice is calling you to a life that stands out, that shines, that changes the world. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." His voice is the spark that sets your light ablaze, making you a beacon for others to follow. Right now, God is speaking to your strength. You've faced trials that should have broken you, but you're still here. That's not just resilience, that's His voice, giving you the power to stand, to fight, to overcome. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." Listen and feel that strength rising within you. You've felt the pressure to conform, to fit into the world's mold. But God's voice says you were made to break molds, to redefine what's possible. Like David, who fought Goliath with a sling and faith, your strength isn't in the world's tools, it's in his voice. Listen, and let him guide you to victories no one expects. This is your moment to declare your faith. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones hearing his call. Drop a 777 in the comments to stand firm. Hit that like button to signal the heavens you're ready. These steps are more than actions. They're declarations, aligning you with the power of God's voice. God's voice is also a promise of protection. No matter what comes, doubt, fear, opposition, his voice is your shield. Psalm 91:4 says, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." When you listen, you're stepping under that protection, safe from anything that tries to pull you down. You're not here to live in lack. God's voice is calling you to abundance, not just in wealth, but in peace, joy, purpose. John 10:10 says, "I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full." His voice is the key to that fullness, unlocking a life where every need is met, every dream is possible. God's voice is a melody, weaving through the noise of your life, bringing harmony where there was discord. It's not just a sound, it's a song, calling you to dance to the rhythm of your divine purpose. Right now, he's speaking to tune your heart to his frequency, to align your steps with a destiny that resonates with eternal truth. You're not here to stumble through chaos, chosen one. His voice is the music that guides you to a life of grace and power. You've known moments when life felt out of sync, when your plans clashed with reality, when your heart felt heavy with unmet hopes. But God's voice brings order to the mess. Like a conductor leading an orchestra, his words arrange every note of your life into a symphony of purpose. Psalm 37:23 says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him." His voice is the rhythm, steadying your path, turning chaos into clarity. Listening to God means embracing his timing. The world pushes you to rush, to force outcomes, to chase results. But his voice says, "Be still," not to stop you, but to prepare you. Like Hannah, who waited for a child through years of tears, your waiting is not wasted. Her faith in God's voice brought Samuel, a prophet who changed a nation. Your faith in his voice will bring your own breakthrough, perfectly timed. You're not here to live in shadows. God's voice is calling you to step into the spotlight of his purpose. The world might try to dim you, to keep you small, but his voice says, you were made to shine. Isaiah 61 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." When you listen, you're not just hearing words, you're stepping into a radiance that no darkness can touch. Right now, God is speaking to your courage. You've faced moments when fear tried to silence you, when doubt told you to back down. His voice says, "Stand firm." Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who faced the fiery furnace without fear, your strength comes from hearing his call. His voice is the fire within you, stronger than any flame you face. You've carried the weight of others' judgments, their doubts about your worth. But God's voice says you're priceless. He's not speaking to your flaws, he's speaking to your value. 1 Peter 2:9 says, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." When you hear him, you're not seeking validation. You're standing in the truth that you're his masterpiece. God's voice is also a promise of guidance. Life can feel like a maze, with twists and turns that leave you lost. But his voice is the map, showing you the way through. Proverbs 16:9 says, In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. When you listen, you're not wandering, you're following a path carved by divine wisdom. You're not here to settle for less. God's voice is calling you to a life of abundance, not scarcity. The world might offer crumbs, but His voice offers a feast. John 6:35 says, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry." When you hear Him, you're not chasing temporary fixes. You're stepping into a life where every need is met, every hunger satisfied. Right now, God is speaking to your resilience. You've faced storms that should have sunk you, yet you're still sailing. That's not just luck, it's His voice, guiding you through the waves. Like Paul, who endured shipwrecks, yet kept preaching, your strength comes from hearing God's call. His voice is the wind in your sails, pushing you toward your destination. You might feel like your story is ordinary, like you're just another face in the crowd. But God's voice says you're unique, set apart, chosen for a purpose only you can fulfill. Like Jeremiah, called before he was born, your life was designed with intention. His voice is the reminder that your story is epic, meant to inspire and transform. This is your moment to join the movement. Subscribe to stand with thousands of chosen ones hearing His voice. Drop a 777 in the comments to declare your faith. Hit that like button to signal the heavens you're ready. These actions are more than gestures, they're steps of obedience, aligning you with the melody of God's purpose. God's voice is also a promise of renewal. The places in your heart that feel worn out, the dreams that feel faded, He's breathing life into them. Ezekiel 36:26 says, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you." When you listen, you're not just hearing. Hope you're receiving a transformation that makes all things new, from your spirit to your steps. You're not defined by your struggles. God's voice speaks to your victory, to the truth that every battle you've faced has made you stronger. Like Job, who lost everything yet gained double, your losses are not the end. His voice is calling you to a restoration that surpasses what you've known, turning your trials into treasures. Right now, God is speaking to your influence. You're not here to live unnoticed. You're here to leave a mark. Your words, your actions, your faith, they carry weight. Like Daniel, whose faithfulness changed a kingdom, your life can shift the world around you. His voice is the guide, showing you how to use your influence for His glory. You've felt the pull of doubt, the whisper that you're not enough. But God's voice says you're more than enough. He's not speaking to your weaknesses, He's speaking to your strength. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." When you hear Him, you're not hiding your flaws, you're embracing His power. God's voice is also a call to trust. The world demands proof, but His voice demands faith. Like Noah, who built an ark before the rain fell, your trust in His voice will lead you to miracles. When you listen, you're not waiting for signs, you're walking in the assurance that His promises are true. You're not here to live in fear. God's voice is calling you to boldness, to a life where you face challenges with unshakable confidence. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." His voice is your courage, giving you the strength to stand tall, no matter what comes. Right now, God is speaking to your purpose. You're not a wanderer, you're a warrior, called to fight for His kingdom, to build what lasts, to heal what's broken. Like Nehemiah, who rebuilt Jerusalem's walls, your work matters. His voice is the blueprint, showing you what to build, and how to stand firm. You've faced moments when the world tried to silence you, to make you feel small, but God's voice says you're unstoppable. John 16:33 says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." When you hear him, you're not fighting for victory. You're fighting from victory, standing on his promise. God's voice is also a promise of connection. You're not alone on this journey. He's weaving you into a tapestry of chosen ones, souls who hear his call and walk in his light. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." Subscribe now to join this community. Drop a 777 in the comments and hit that like button to declare your place among those who listen. You're not here to chase fleeting things. God's voice is calling you to what's eternal: love, purpose, impact. The world offers temporary rewards, but his voice offers a legacy that outlives you. Matthew 6:20 says, "Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven." When you listen, you're building a life that matters, a story that endures. Right now, God is speaking to your faith. You've believed in him through the dark, through the pain, through the unknown. His voice is the reward, the assurance that your faith wasn't in vain. Like Abraham, who believed against all odds, your trust in his voice will lead to promises fulfilled, to a future that shines. You've felt the weight of waiting, wondering when your moment will come. But God's voice says, your moment is now. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." His voice is the signal that your season has arrived, that the wait is over, that your time to rise is here. God's voice is also a call to create. You carry his creative power, the ability to bring beauty from ashes, hope from despair. Genesis 1:27 says, "God created mankind in his own image." His voice is stirring that creativity in you, urging you to build, to dream, to make something that reflects his glory. Listen and let your gifts shine. You're not defined by your past mistakes. God's voice speaks to your redemption, to the truth that he's making all things new. Revelation 21:5 says, "I am making everything new." When you hear him, you're not dwelling on what was, you're stepping into what is. A life transformed by his grace and power. Right now, God is speaking to your strength. You've faced battles that should have broken you, but you're still standing. That's not just resilience, that's his voice, giving you the power to endure, to overcome, to thrive. Isaiah 40:29 says, "He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak." His voice is your strength, lifting you higher. You're not here to live in the ordinary. God's voice is calling you to the extraordinary, a life where miracles happen, where dreams come true, where your faith moves mountains. Mark 11:24 says, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." His voice is the promise that your prayers are heard. Your miracles are coming. God's voice is also a call to rest in his love. You don't have to earn it, prove it, or chase it. Zephaniah 3:17 says, "He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing." When you listen, you're resting in the truth that you're loved, chosen, cherished, just as you are. You've faced moments when the world tried to pull you back, to keep you small. But God's voice says, you were made for greatness. Not the world's greatness, but his greatness that heals, that builds, that inspires. His voice is the call to step into that greatness, to live a life that echoes his glory. Right now, God is speaking to your hope, The dreams you thought were lost, the future you feared wouldn't come, He's bringing them back. Psalm 130:5 says, I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in His word I put my hope. His voice is your hope, the assurance that what's coming is greater than what's been. Listen and let it rise within you. God's voice is a wind, carrying you forward when the world tries to hold you back. It's not just a breeze, it's a force, pushing you toward a future where your purpose unfolds like a sail catching the breath of heaven. Right now, He's speaking to move you past the anchors of fear and doubt, to set you free for the journey you were born to take. You're not here to stay still, chosen one. His voice is the gust that propels you into a life of impact and destiny. You've known moments when the path felt blocked, closed doors, missed chances, dreams that seemed to slip away. But God's voice says those blocks were not the end. Like the walls of Jericho that fell at His command, the obstacles in your life are crumbling. Joshua 6:20 says, When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. His voice is your shout, breaking down what stands in your way. Listening to God means trusting His promises, even when they seem impossible. The world might say, your dreams are too big, your past too heavy. But His voice says, nothing is too hard for Him. Genesis 18:14 asks, Is anything too hard for the Lord? When you hear Him, you're not clinging to limits. You're embracing a God who turns barren wombs into nations, who makes the impossible your reality. You're not here to live in defeat. God's voice is calling you to victory, to a life where every battle strengthens you. Think of David, who faced Goliath with nothing but a sling and faith. The world saw a boy. God saw a king. His voice is showing you who you really are, a warrior, a leader, a light that no giant can extinguish. Listen and step into your triumph. Right now, God is speaking to your heart's deepest desires, the dreams you've held in silence, the prayers you've whispered in the dark. He hears them. Psalm 24 says, May He give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. His voice is the assurance that those desires aren't forgotten. They're being shaped by His hand, ready to bloom in His perfect time. You felt the sting of isolation, moments when you wondered if anyone truly saw you. But God's voice says, you're never alone. He's not just with you, He's for you, surrounding you with His presence. Psalm 139:5 says, You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. When you listen, you're wrapped in His embrace, secure in the truth that He's always near. God's voice is also a call to action. He's not speaking to keep you still. He's speaking to set you in motion. Like Jonah, who ran from God's call but was brought back to His purpose, you're being called to move, to act, to obey. His voice is the push you need, the courage to take the step you've been hesitating to make. Listen and let it propel you forward. You're not defined by your struggles. God's voice speaks to your strength, to the resilience that's carried you through. Like Paul, who found joy in chains because he heard God's call, your hardships are not your story's end. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all this through Him who gives me strength. His voice is your power, turning every trial into a testimony. Right now, God is speaking to your hope. The dreams you thought were gone, the future you feared wouldn't come, He's reviving them. Psalm 71:14 says, As for me, I will always have hope. I will praise you more and more. His voice is your anchor, keeping your hope alive, guiding you to a future that shines. You've faced trials that tested your strength, your faith, your heart. But God's voice says those trials were preparation, like gold refined in fire. You've come out stronger, purer, ready for His purpose. 1 Peter 1:7 says, "These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith may result in praise, glory, and honor." His voice is the fire, shaping you into His masterpiece. God's voice is also a call to rise. You're not here to stay down, you're here to soar. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." His voice is your wings, lifting you above the storms, carrying you to heights you never imagined. You're not defined by your past. God's voice speaks to your future, to the truth that He's writing a new chapter. Revelation 21:5 says, "I am making everything new." When you hear Him, you're not looking back. You're stepping forward into a story of redemption, purpose, and glory. Right now, God is speaking to your destiny. You're not here by accident, you're here by design. Like Esther, called for such a time as this, your life is meant to change the world. His voice is the call, urging you to step into your moment, to shine, to lead. Listen, and let His words guide you to greatness. This is your divine appointment, chosen one. God's voice has been speaking, and now it's time to act. You've heard His call through these words, felt His fire in your soul. Subscribe to join thousands of chosen ones answering His voice. Drop a 777 in the comments to seal your faith. Hit that like button to declare you're ready. Now, go forward, listen, and let His voice lead you into the life you were born to